Happy Monday. I'm going to wait for some people to hop on. Today's topic, I'm really passionate and excited about. So I hope a lot of you are here for it. I'm going to wait till I get my little, people saying hi so I know it's working. Also have to put my... Hello. Hey, Angelica's here. Angelica, girl, I want you... This is a really big one. What I'm going to talk about today is it really affects people like you, it actually affects every single person. But I think we as sex workers in particular need to be more vocal about this and need to inform as many people as we can about this and get this shit changed. I am doing well. Okay, so I'm going to get all the stuff I normally say out of the way. So Monday Fun Day. If this is your first time here, just so you know, I'm live here until 8 p.m. Pacific, which is about an hour and a half. And then I go on my OF page where, you can't see, my boobs are already falling out, but they will be fully falling out on my OF stream. So we have a much more, obviously, sexual stream over there. And over here, we actually talk about important shit. And today's topic is very, very important to me. Yay, Hazard Stin is here. Yep. Curls are out. Natural hair is out today. I feel like my hair is more layered now and it looks better curly than it used to. But anyways, so yeah, you guys can go to jasminejafar.me and that will have all of my socials, including my OnlyFans, where the fun live is going to be happening very shortly. So yeah, I know some people are going to hop on pretty soon, but I'm going to get started because I really want today. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a long time, but I wanted to really look into it before I talked about it. But with all the things that have happened recently, which I'm going to go into, I wanted to bring it here as like a discussion first. And then I want to do like a YouTube video on it. And I'm going to make the YouTube, you got banned on OF for no reason. Well, usually OF bans, I'm not saying 100% of the time there's a good reason, but there may have been a reason. Okay, anyways. Unlike Instagram banning me for no reason. But I want to do a YouTube video on this with like a really clickbaity title because I don't think people you guys will hear oh, SESTA-FOSTA bill and you guys will be interested. But I feel like, regular people, we need to make it like why this matters for you. Oh, okay. So yeah, if you've been inactive for a long time, that might be why you're banned. But you guys, I don't think they ban you forever for that. That's weird. That would be a weird policy. I'm sure they want to make money. I know they ban, I don't know what, they ban people for chargebacks, which I think is fair. They ban us for ever trying to facilitate anything in person, trying to sell underwear or anything in person. Or not in person, mailing it to you, trying to use other payment methods. They have rules, and most of them I think are fairly reasonable. What I think is unreasonable is how shitty their fucking website is. That's unreasonable. Okay. So SESTA-FOSTA. So why I wanted to talk about this today, even though this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, is I don't know how many of you heard, but Imgur has banned porn. And I think it'll go into effect May 15th. If you don't know what Imgur is, if you're not a tech savvy person, I would have no idea what Imgur was if I wasn't a Reddit user and if I wasn't a not safe for work poster on Reddit. A pretty big one. My account on Reddit is my biggest online platform. I love it. It is how I got started in sex work, and it is still my number one platform that I use to advertise my OnlyFans and my body. So Imgur is one of the main way that you are able to upload your nudes and your videos or whatever onto different subreddits on Reddit. So most of the not safe for work subreddits on Reddit are either entirely or heavily use Imgur, and some of them only allowed Imgur. So after May 15th, not only are they not going to allow it going forward, they're going to retroactively go back and they're going to delete all of that. So not safe for work Reddit is kind of freaking out because not only can we not use this going forward? But everything we've posted on Imgur is going to end up being a broken link. And I know that they also said they're banning anything that was from an inactive user. So a lot of people on Reddit are also upset because it doesn't only affect explicit content, but it affects kind of anything that wasn't tied to an account, which means there's going to be a lot of dead links on the internet. Essentially, it's kind of like the photo bucket thing that happened kind of before, which I wasn't super privy to because I was not a big internet person. I still probably am not, but obviously this is something that directly affects me. Reddit also announced that they are going to be removing access. This is not 100% certain yet, but it seems that they said they're going to restrict mature content via Reddit's API. Again, I'm not a tech person, but from my understanding, that's what like third-party apps use to access Reddit. I think Apollo is a big one. Apollo did a post. I guess Reddit called him and talked to him, and they said, yeah, we don't think you guys is going to be able to access explicit content via those third-party apps anymore, which is also really weird because they're planning on having them charge for it. So you're paying to get less than you would get on Reddit. And this has been just in the line of a long list of censorship when it comes to anything really related to sex. We all know what happened with Tumblr. We know that a lot of social media platforms have cracked down, and we're going to talk about why and some of the ways that's happened. And now people are worried, well, can the only two major platforms that still allow explicit content are Twitter and Reddit. And a lot of the new legislation that's coming out, including the one I'm going to talk about, are that they're trying to get passed. And stuff that has been passed, SESTA-FOSTA, which is what we're going to talk about today, has made it very difficult for these platforms to be able to keep that content on there. And they're putting themselves at risk by allowing explicit content on their sites. And one of the big reasons for this and why this has just been really, and it's really hard for sex workers because we don't have really a way to advertise, but it's also, I think it's everybody's right to be able to see porn on the internet. And Tumblr was basically a WEF with no direct monetary incentives. Yeah, I wasn't a Tumblr girl. Like I said, I wasn't actually really on any social media prior to like 2021, which was after the whole thing happened. But yeah, and obviously we know Tumblr plummeted after that. And again, I used to be somebody that wasn't super aware of all this. So like when I heard Tumblr accessed it, I directly was like, oh, Tumblr sucks. But really, it's not Tumblr that's wanting to do this. It's not Reddit that wants to get rid of porn. Like their CEO has actually said multiple times that they don't want to get rid of it. And right now they're actually doing all these restrictions, in my opinion, and in the opinion of people who know far better, more than I do. They're doing this because they're struggling to keep this content online because one, it's a big part of Reddit. I've heard anywhere upwards to like a quarter of Reddit is not safe for work and porn and all that. I don't know if that's 100% accurate. But a significant amount of Reddit is that. And, nobody wants to be Tumblr, but they were the App Store threatened to take them off, which would have plummeted them anyway. So they didn't really have a choice. And this is getting worse and worse. And it's reducing the ways that sex workers can even advertise online. It's reducing this kind of content from even being available online. And it's actually, and I'll go through it, it's actually costing people their lives, and it's allowing the government we talked about the Restrict Act, I think 2 weeks ago now. This is another way that the government is able, in the Restrict Act, under the guise of security and privacy in China, and under this, they really love pushing in human trafficking and child trafficking, when none of this has actually helped end trafficking. In fact, it's actually made it's the way to police. Yeah. The Traffickers Act and Fostering Act. Both were passed by our wonderful president at the time, Donald Trump, being sarcastic, in 2018. And what it does, it amends Section 230, which provides safe harbor to internet. It's like the Safe Harbor Acts for the internet, which basically Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996 stipulates that no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. What does this mean? It means that if you post something on Reddit, Reddit isn't responsible for what you post. So what this does is that it says that whatever platform you're posting on cannot be held liable for whatever illegal content is you're putting on there. Now, this doesn't apply to criminal. It doesn't apply actually to intellectual property. There were already things intact. There were laws. It wasn't like Reddit could just let everybody go on there and be like, I am trafficking children. No, there was already protections in place against that. But this was entirely overbroad. And these social media companies, which I'm going to get into more of what the bill says, have no choice but to over police and to about consensual and content that's actually protected by the First Amendment in order to prevent legal liability. So their choices are, hey, we can either risk getting in a lot of trouble or we can over police, which is what they have to end up doing. I'm good. You met me on Tumblr. I don't think I wasn't even I didn't even have a digital footprint when Tumblr was around. For a sex worker, I think that if they ban porn on anywhere, it's stupid. Yeah, it is stupid. So basically, it's what allows the internet to be what the internet is. It's what allows discussion threads. It's what allows forums, right? Because you're supposed to be able to say things on there. You don't want the platforms to be in every single comment and making sure that every single thing that everybody says is perfectly, fine. And if it's not, then they're going to be responsible for it, which is going to result in a lot of censorship. And the bill penalizes any websites that promote or facilitate prostitution. And what does that mean? That's one of the biggest issues with the bill. So I think the bill is problematic. It's twofold, right? One is that it conflates, like many people like to do, sex trafficking with sex work. And it makes it, okay, there's no such thing as consensual prostitution, consensual sex work. And we all know sex work is a broad spectrum. It can be in-person escorting services. It can be an exotic dancer. It can be OnlyFans, like what I do. It can be a mainstream porn star. It could be somebody online selling their bra and underwear. This bill actually attacks sex educators too, because if they say something that facilitates or promotes prostitution, so even advocates that were just decriminalizing or speaking about decriminalizing sex work could be penalized under this bill. So it made places even like YouTube have to start shadow banning, censoring, demonetizing just sex education channels, because this bill was so broad that anything that promotes or facilitates prostitution is considered basically knowingly assisting, facilitating, or supporting sex trafficking. So what does it do? It conflates prostitution with sex trafficking. It conflates all sex work with sex trafficking. It completely takes out of the equation people who consensually want to do this, consenting adults who want to be in this kind of industry, like myself, like Angelica. Thank you for discussing this and for doing this. Oh, thank you. Oh, do I have another girl in here? I'm so happy when I get women in here. But yeah, I want to talk about this. The only way we can stop this is if we start speaking out about this and organizing. And I think with stuff like this, people don't know. And if we can get more people on board by just understanding what this is, we can get them on our side, because these bills are introduced as we just want to stop trafficking. We just want to stop child trafficking. And when you just hear that, like if I just hear, okay, the Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Act, who's going to be like, no, I don't like, I would like sex trafficking to continue? Nobody, right? Nobody is in favor of that. And unless you look deeper into it, you're not going to be like, if you're just a normie outside, you're not going to know, and you're going to be like, yeah, that sounds good. Which is why I think every single member, from what I remember, except who were the two that didn't? My moderator, help me out here. There were two that didn't support it, but everybody else, bipartisan support. They turned into, they used movie stars, Hollywood, which for some godforsaken reason, people care about their opinion for, like, beats me. But they had like a really, you know, the sad where they're like holding up signs, like the gray background, the music that were like, put an end to trafficking. And, you know, people who like probably have never read a book in their life. And part of the reason Hollywood, we're going to talk about, Disney were pushing for this was because it also allows these bigger companies to have a monopoly on the internet, because a lot of the smaller websites and companies don't have the resources to be able to fight something like this, and to be able to fight any legal challenge they get due to something like this, to be able to put in what they need to put in, to be able to abide by this and monitor everything and make sure nothing ever on their website could possibly be known as supporting or promoting prostitution, because they could be held legally liable, which leaves these big companies to monopolize the internet. So that's why you saw a lot of them pushing for it. I think it was 21st Century Studio or whatever. Those bigger companies were pushing for it. Now, who wasn't pushing for it? Pretty much. Oh, sorry. It's nice to have safe, affirmative spaces online, especially so rare for sex workers, precisely because of what. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's really hard for us because we were kicked off the internet in pretty much every way, and we don't have a way to organize, to unionize, to even speak to each other, right? We're on the internet. We're not like going into our sex work office. I don't know if you're a sex worker, but if you are, or pro sex work, we love that too. I'm glad you're talking about this. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are here. And I want to keep talking about this. We need to keep, especially because the Earn It Act, which I'm going to talk about, it has already been introduced twice, and it was not passed, but it's been introduced again in 2023. And 2023 is a crazy year because, as we know, if we've been focusing on these culture wars, they are starting to like just throw grooming. Everybody's grooming children. If you talk about LGBTQ issues, you're grooming children. Everybody is sex trafficking. Hollywood is sex trafficking. Everything is sex trafficking children. And I'm afraid, because the Earn It Act is, again, put under the wing of, oh, it's just to stop trafficking. We just need to stop child trafficking. And if you're curious, did this bill actually do anything to stop trafficking? No, it actually has made it far worse. So again, I'm just going to go in order of my notes. Yeah, so knowingly assisting, facilitating, or supporting sex trafficking, which is vague enough to threaten everything from certain cryptocurrencies to porn videos to sites for perfectly legal escort services. One of the bill's main supporters, the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, has been using the bill to attack consensual adult pornography, which it has characterized as violent, degrading, and a public health crisis. So again, instead of asking real sex workers, instead of coming to people who actually do this for a living, who can, you know, I'd like to believe that I have a head on my shoulders. Angelica has a head on her shoulders. Nobody's forcing us into this. But apparently we can't make those decisions for ourselves, and we're all sex trafficked, you know, by default. It's so frustrating. It's another way to police women, to tell women, even women that choose to do this, well, you can't really choose to do this, right? Like, you just don't know what you're doing. You must have been abused. You must just not have any other options. All the stuff, you know, they always tell like, you know, I get it all the time. Oh, I have a little bit of I get a little bit of a pass because I'm a licensed attorney. So clearly I had other options. But even that kind of pisses people off even more. Now they think I'm like just crazy in the head. I have daddy issues. None of the above are true. I've been an OF creator / cam girl on and off for a few years. Well, we're very happy to have you. So yeah, online providers can now be held liable for posts perceived to be advertising sex on their websites. State law enforcement can prosecute these cases at their discretion. For social media platforms are forced to censor user-generated content to avoid legal repercussions. And so this has resulted in right away, they shut down Backpage. Is it Backpage or Backpages? I don't know. I never used it. Even though they couldn't even shut it down for this reason. They had to shut it down for just the prostitution. They didn't actually shut it down for facilitating sex trafficking. In fact, Backpages was cooperating with authorities to stop any type of sex trafficking that was happening on their site. The Department of Justice itself was against this bill because they're like, hey, this is how we actually catch these people. If you just move it underground, we can't catch these people. In fact, a lot of pending investigations had to stop that were actually being investigated against real sex traffickers who were using things like Backpages that Backpages was helping them with. They completely had to shut down those cases, and those real sex traffickers were not able to be prosecuted. And there has been an uptick in all of that because now they're underground, and a lot of these places were actually used to catch them. Common sense. And again, and you know, all just as important, sex workers, consensual adults that were choosing to do this work consensually, relied on the internet to create safety nets, to recreate protocols, to be able to screen clients. They were using Backpage to be able, they even had like lists for other sex workers to look at, to like warn them of any bad clients, any people that they should avoid. I know even for us on the internet, like I look at the creators advice and the OnlyFans advice page on Reddit, and such a great community. I don't know if Angelica and Starwomb look at those, but people will post like, hey, this guy's a scammer. Hey, be careful about this guy. Like just ways for us to even connect. And those were all taken away. Craigslist Personals was taken down. Another way sex workers were screening their clients. I checked it out for the first time yesterday. Very helpful. It is very helpful. And they lost access to that. They lost access to all those forums and all those ways to keep them safe. And the homicide rate went up for women in general after this. And it was obviously a lot more. I have some statistics thanks to my moderator. I'm going to read out some of that. But I was looking at other places too, and you would be so, like, I was shocked at the impact that this had and how much places like Craigslist, Backpages, there were some Reddit forums that were automatically taken down. I screenshotted those. Reddit banned multiple subreddits in response, including escorts, male escorts, hookers, so sugar daddy, Redditors, and forums like sex workers. They basically had to rapidly began redefining and rearticulating the rules in order to keep their own community safe from the crackdown. Meanwhile, sex workers who had been relying on jobs from various websites were left grappling with a complicated litany of precautions to take in order to try to continue their business safety in the shadow of the new law. Again, overbroad. There was like a guy, he was one of the people in the Woodhall challenge against this, where he was just like a massage therapist using Craigslist Personals, and he couldn't use it anymore. It's ridiculous how many lives that this has affected. Wait, I'm confused what's going on. We're talking about SESTA-FOSTA, which was a bill that cut down on the protections provided by Section 230 of the Communications, I forgot what it's called, the Communications Decency Act of 1996, which basically protected online, the website or the platform that you're using from being liable for what is posted on there legally. And again, this doesn't apply to everything, but this was really overbroad, and it basically allows the government to penalize anything that promotes or facilitates prostitution or basically sex. This bill does not distinguish between consensual sex work and non-consensual sex work, and that's basically what we're talking about, and the chilling effect that this has basically had on the internet in general, to be honest, and especially towards the most marginalized people in a very already marginalized community, which is sex workers. Are you into philosophy? I'm very into philosophy, but that's not what we're talking about today. So, yeah. So a lot of places were against this. Craigslist, Reddit, even Wikipedia have made it clear that they can't afford to suffer the long-term effects of FOSTA-SESTA, at least without drastically overhauling their sites and everything about the way their sites operate. Again, this only allows, this was the places that supported this were those really, really big companies that wanted another opportunity to have a monopoly on the internet. I know a lot of people who do what you do as their profession, and it sucks that most of the time when they try to speak out on something, people don't listen and don't care, but I really hope people listen to you because I think this topic, it's very important, and it actually affects everybody. Because I saw a tweet the other day, and it's so true. Sex workers are kind of like the front line of people of rights being taken away, but those eventually will come down to everybody. So if you think this doesn't affect you, it does. Crazy things are going on now. People are required to put in an ID to, I think, what state is it, to go into, like, to watch. We have to put in your information so the government can have it in order to watch porn. And again, Section 2, and we're going to talk about this when we talk about the Earn It Act if we have time. Anything that attacks Section 230 is going to take away the internet as we know it. And it does censor free speech. Now, again, a lot of people don't understand the difference between actual platforms' terms of service. Like, I can make a platform right now and be like, the word sex is not allowed to even be used on this. That's my decision. But the government coming in and being like, no, we're going to prosecute anyone that we feel like very vaguely facilitates sex under the guise of trying to stop sex trafficking. Can we not see where that can be a problem? Louisiana. Okay. Louisiana. Oh, let's see. Application code I see. It's not usually strict, and when I'm looking at comments, you guys can, but I don't want to like deviate from the topic too much. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, the government still collects taxes on sex workers using platforms like OnlyFans, so why are they getting involved / making things harder now? Because they want control. It's our government. Do you think our government is going to forego having control? Right? No, they're going to use things like the Restrict Act, the craze over, oh my God, grooming, sex trafficking, etc. And again, you'll not meet a single sex worker. Like, if anything, we are the ones who want us the most safe. No, we don't want to be trafficked. We don't want anybody to be trafficked. And there's no sex worker that you can find that's like, I love child porn. I love it. No, we don't want that stuff either. So listen to us. Sex workers, even sex trafficking groups, advocates, sex trafficking survivors were against this bill, but that's not who they listen to. They listen to Google. They listen to Hollywood, not us, and Disney. How often do you do streams like this? Thank you. I do them every Monday, and then I go onto OnlyFans and get naked after. So it's very different, but some of you enjoy them both. Some of you like this, some of you like that. Okay. I'm sad you won't be there, King of the Hunt, but I'm glad you're here for this. So, yeah, it's been linked to an increase in human trafficking and violence against sex workers. It's actually only been used for one, it's been used for one case, and that case was actually dismissed. So literally nothing has come out of this other than censorship and putting sex workers' lives at risk. I'm going to pull up some of this, some of the notes that my moderator made on studies that have been done. I know Columbia Human Rights Law Review or something did a great study on this. A lot of people are against this, including the Department of Justice, human rights organizations, sex workers. There's like a list in here. Yeah, Woodhull Freedom Foundation, Center for Democracy and Technology, Electronic Frontier Foundation, the ACLU, Engine Advocacy, Sex Workers Outreach Project, a lot of the websites and platforms that you know and love. They're like, what is this? Let me pull that up. Yeah, here's some quotes actually from the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Although the law was passed by Congress for the worthy purpose of fighting sex trafficking, its broad language makes criminals of those who advocate for and provide resources to adults, consensual sex workers, and actually hinders efforts to prosecute sex traffickers and victims. CEO of the Woodhull Freedom Foundation. It chills sexual speech and harms sex workers. It makes it harder for people to take care of and protect themselves, and as an organization working to protect people's fundamental human rights, Woodhull is deeply concerned about the damaging impact this law will have on all people. So again, problem is twofold. One, it affects everyone because it censors. It's another way for the government to come in and censor speech. It takes away the internet as you know it, and also the impact that it has on sex workers and people who do consensually choose to do this by making the very, very fucking stupid conflation with sex work and sex trafficking, you know, because they're the same thing according to people with no brain cells. All right, let's see. Oh my God, nobody, please don't FaceTime me right now. Okay. So one study conducted by the Samaritan Women and published by the Institute for Shelter Care in the following months following this legislation, they reviewed the conditions faced by trafficking victims and sex workers before and after the implementation of the law. Based on comprehensive interviews with shelters and service providers, the study revealed an increase in trafficking case referrals since the passage of this. Shelters also reported increased risks faced by their clients, including street-based violence, assault, and exploitation. Sex trafficking in San Francisco shot up 170% following the passage of the law as sex workers were forced back onto street-based work, increasingly vulnerable to exploitation and violence. And higher levels of reported trafficking are not the result of successful prosecutions. Service providers divulged that law enforcement has virtually stopped referring trafficking cases to shelters because their primary mechanism for identifying victims and perpetrators, online advertisements, has been removed. Investigators were forced to abandon several pending investigations. I talked about this, and officers have increased difficulty locating missing youth and organizing undercover investigations. One investigator reported that the shutting down of Backpage was like turning on a light in a dark room full of cockroaches. The cockroaches fled. Now we are trying to find where they fled to. There's like fucking corny ass, like, you know, Republican, like, you know, the commercials. We have shut down 90% of sex trafficking sites. The shady, you know, sex trafficking sites, but then within a year, 75% of them were like back up. So this did nothing to curb sex trafficking. There was a quote by a law professor that I loved. If I can find it. Sorry, since I'm a lawyer, I feel like I love when. Yes. The bill would expose internet entrepreneurs to additional unclear criminal risk, and that would chill socially beneficial entrepreneurship well outside the bill's target zone. So that's the other like category I was talking about. He also pointed out that existing criminal laws already do what FOSTA-SESTA is designed to do, an argument bolstered by the fact that as recently as this month, Backpage was still facing legal troubles under existing laws. So again, anything that like actual facilitation of sex trafficking was not allowed anyway. I think there was the SAVE Act. There was a couple that helped with that. 2019 study from Baylor U showed that the implementation of Craigslist erotic services page, decreased the national female homicide rate by 10 to 17% from 2002 to 2010. There was a participatory action-based sex worker-led research report conducted 18 months after this was signed into the law. The dismantling of an online-based sex work environment has led to an increase in economic instability for 72.45% of the online participants, with 33.8% reporting an increase of violence from clients. There was harm reduction tools such as Verify Him, which allowed sex workers to rate and review clients, was shut down. An interview published as part of a 34-month ethnographic study on FOSTA-SESTA's impact on sexual commerce highlights the concerning reality that rather than saving those sexually trafficked, FOSTA-SESTA puts those engaging in consensual sex work at a higher risk of being trafficked. So just great stuff all around. All right, let me see what the comments say. What's the opposition's strongest point for being pro the bill? That they think they're like, well, you know, places like if you're facilitating sex or you're promoting sex online, then maybe some of those sex workers are trafficked, or maybe some of them are underage. And if you allow us to come in and prosecute, then we're going to be able to stop it. So that was their argument. But now it's been, what is it, 2018, 19, 20, 20. So it's been 5 years almost. Actually, it was fast on, April 11th, and it's April 24th of 2023. So yeah, it's been 5 years, and now we have the data, and it didn't do any of that. Elizabeth Warren was fighting for in 2020 for, who was it? I think I wrote this down too. Basically research to be done on the impact of this, because I know a lot of us were like, hey, this didn't work. Yeah, in January 2020, Senator Elizabeth Warren introduced a bill meant to study the SESTA package titled the Safe Sex Worker Study Act. However, the bill denied in the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. So there is that. I need to get better. Like, my notes are just so unorganized. Yeah. Honestly, sex workers are strongly against meets. They have their own partners / interpersonal relationships. They're not engaging with fans in person. The vast majority of us doing the online sex work are not. And it forced some of them to actually now go to the streets in order to survive and make a living. And then the ones that were actually on the streets, that were using websites online and using the internet to screen clients, make sure they were safe instead of, getting into random cars on the street, were negatively impacted by this. And there's been an increase in deaths, violence, economic instability. Like, people literally died because of this, and it doesn't seem like a single person was saved. And we know that actually things have been much harder. It's been much harder to catch these people, and that's been from law enforcement themselves, people that were investigating this. And again, a lot of these platforms, like, I even talked about this. Like, if I filed a case against somebody on Reddit, I filed a John Doe suit because I don't know who it is, Reddit always cooperates. Reddit would give us their IP address, their user, whatever I'm not techie, whatever the fuck we need to identify these people. These platforms were cooperating, and now you're just shutting it all down, and all the sketchy sites are basically still up, but all the sites with the good stuff and the consenting adults who are law-abiding sites were censored by this. So great move here. I wish I could still watch the OF streams. Sorry, I can't I don't have the authority to unban you from OnlyFans. Absolutely. And the language is vague and brought on purpose because of the yeah. So do I think, like, just average, everyday Samaritans, if they heard of this bill, they knew and this was their purpose? No. But do I think a lot of the people, like I talked about, the Center for whatever, these anti-porn groups that just actually don't want porn because of their Puritan values and their fucking, like, psycho evangelical Christian shit that they want to put on all of us, because honestly they don't want their fucking husbands looking at us instead of them, which they do anyway. Honestly, conservative men, I feel like, consume like the most of this because they're so, like, repressed. The red pill men are very, very big OnlyFans consumers, or I guess porn consumers. Yeah, Jazz, I wasn't sure if you saw my last message to you, but I feel like I'm getting more used to balancing my work-school balance, and I need to incorporate more interpersonal romantic relationship pursuits. Yeah, that's fine. I think that's great. See, the difference is you are just like, yeah, I'm going to go do that. Like, some people delete Instagram off their phone for a while. Some people stop watching TV for a while in order to be more productive. Those are never people that, those are just normal things people do, but people that just get online like, fuck OnlyFans, I hate you. Those people are struggling. Those stats are so astounding, but sadly unsurprising. All the organizations in favor decrim and against. Yeah, they did predict it. And I wasn't really, at 2018, I was like in law school, and I didn't know much about this. I wasn't on the internet. I heard about this, and I actually heard about some of this, and I was like, that sucks. But again, They predicted it. We're 5 years out, and everything they predicted came to fruition. So, okay, my sister just texted me that she's watching my live and I'm doing good, and she just distracted me. I agree with Star Womb. It's definitely not surprising in the slightest. So what can be done in the meantime that has any meaningful impact? We got to organize. There was the Woodhull case. I think like Wikipedia had a really short like synopsis of what's happened. It's like been going like it's through 2021. It's been like it was like thrown out, and then they appealed it, and then it was brought back to the lower courts, and like they were trying to throw it out for something. So legal challenges are still occurring. Again, plenty ACLU, the Woodhull Freedom Foundation, pretty much any reputable free speech organization, human rights organization is against this. And we've been trying to stop it. The problem is the public doesn't really know what's going on. And again, when it's put under the guise of human trafficking and child trafficking, a lot of us, like our instinct is like, oh yeah, that fucking sucks. And even a lot of us will think like, okay, well, even if we have to censor speech in order to stop trafficking, that's worth it. The problem is this doesn't even do that. And this just harms everybody. It harms people that have been trafficked. It harms consenting adults who are just trying to make a living. Sex trafficking survivors themselves are against this. But the only people not against this bill are people that are trying to monopolize the internet, or people that are trying to push their evangelical, puritanical views on everybody. So, all right, let's see. Censoring free speech is really dumb. Men literally died for our freedom. Now the government trying to wash away a lot of that freedom. What the hell? Yeah. And I'm going to talk about the Earn It Act in a second, which is trying to do more of that. So basically the internet came about, and I mean, there's been challenges to net neutrality and a bunch of things that basically make the internet a free and fair space for people to create websites, for people to participate in websites, participate in forums, and use their speech. And the government's like, oh shit. And big corporations are like, oh shit, we don't like that. So they use a lot of this stuff. They make it purposely overbroad in order to kind of force these social media companies. They have no option. They're like, well, what are we going to do? Monitor every single comment? And when it's this vague and it just can criminalize anything that facilitates or promotes prostitution, because under the guise that prostitution is the same thing as sex trafficking. And, you know, that's not the part that's being put out to the public. You know, when these Hollywood actors, like I literally watched the video where they're like, sex trafficking, you know, and, you know, people that are just like, you know, working a 9 to 5 and then they come home and they turn on the TV and, you know, they're like, oh, this is great. And senators don't want to touch this. They don't want to be the senator that votes against this, which is why this sucks, because the right is pushing so hard against this, but the left isn't really opposing it either, because the left, a lot of them don't know what's going on. And a lot of them are just like, oh yeah, okay, sex trafficking bad, child porn bad, okay, bad. Nobody's really, you know, talking to porn stars and sex workers themselves, or even people that have been trafficked themselves, or any of these human rights organizations, the fucking Department of Justice themselves. None of that is enough when you know you're pushing it, pulling it at the heartstrings of people when it comes to a very important issue that we all want to combat, such as sex and child trafficking. I'm sure if everybody in America knew that this bill was making it worse, I can't see many people that are normal and are not just anti-porn and anti-sex work in general being like, oh no, I still want it there, right? But they don't know. And things like this and the Earn It Act are trying to actually cut at more opportunities for us to speak out about this, for sex workers to organize, for people to be able to say, hey, no, this isn't right, and this is why. You know, it forces YouTube to actually, it was demonetizing a lot of sex education channels. Like, not even sex workers. Nobody was promoting their OnlyFans, for you OnlyFans haters. Nothing was explicit on YouTube really ever. Like in the sense of like porn, like nobody was going to YouTube. I don't know, unless this was like the really old days of YouTube. But a lot of people are like, oh, I miss the old days of the internet, like the wild, wild west days. Well, things are just getting worse and worse and worse unless we stop this and we're able to identify bills like the Restrict Act, SESTA-FOSTA, Earn It for what they really are and not what they're proposed as. I'm woefully uninformed regarding these laws. I'm glad Jazz is growing awareness because, like she said, we need to organize and engage in more activism in any way we can. Yeah. And I hate that it took for me to be a sex worker to see this impact and to be so vocal. And I think more people would be vocal if they just knew. That's why I think it's so important for us to talk about this as much as we can, to organize, because the logic and the reason is on our side. And I think the people would be on our side. In fact, attitudes towards decriminalizing sex work, the majority of Americans now, from one poll I read, are for decriminalizing sex work. It's just one of those things. There's plenty of issues in our society where the people are like, oh yeah, like legalizing weed, decriminalizing sex work, but it's just not being done because it's actually being, like sex work in general is being attacked kind of undercover through stuff like this, under the guise of sex trafficking. And even me being very pro sex work, I get messages all the time. Well, how can you be pro sex work if you don't? What about sex trafficking? I'm like, this is completely different. And we are in the best position to actually be able to fight against that. But we can't if you're going to shut down our voices by saying that we're the same thing. I am not trafficked. Angelica is not trafficked. Star Womb is not trafficked. I don't know if any other girls are in this live. I can, we want to be here. I'm sorry, I don't want to work a 9 to 5. I want to show my titties on the internet, but apparently I can't because I'm trafficked, facilitating sex trafficking by showing my own body online. And that's why a lot of these websites are banning not safe for work content. We are at risk of Twitter and Reddit it being gone too. And then there's no major platform on the internet that's going to be able to host this kind of content. We're already basically kicked off everywhere. We're shadow banned on Instagram. We get banned on TikTok for breathing. We can't even say OnlyFans on TikTok. We're banned. It's getting harder and harder and harder for sex workers to survive online. And there's a lot of sex work like what I do that's entirely online based. So it's what the fuck are we supposed to do? But it's also dangerous for people engaging in all kinds of sex work. Moderator said, similar to people saying, how can you be pro-cannabis while people are dying of fentanyl? The mental gymnastics of these people is wild. Yeah, that's another one like that. What? How can you be pro-cannabis when people are dying of fentanyl? Yeah, I get that all the time. Well, how are you pro-sex work when child porn is on the internet? I'm like, because I'm posting my titties online and as a consenting adult, and consenting adults are choosing to watch it and enjoy it, and none of us are and I told you, things like OnlyFans actually help with this because I'm not against verification. I'm not against people that want to, like me, wanting to post myself online, having to be verified, having to have anybody on my page need to be verified. I'm not against any of that. And so moving towards pro-verification is not an issue to me. Working towards combating revenge porn is not an issue to me. The problem is, how can we not do this without being overbroad, censoring the internet, taking away the protections of everybody, the rights of everybody, and actually resulting in not only the harm and economic hardship and the lives of, again, the most marginalized people in this community, POC, the LGBTQ community. These are the people whose lives are literally at risk. If OnlyFans goes down tomorrow, if Reddit bans not safe for work content tomorrow, my life is not going to be at risk because I'm at the top of kind of the sex work, I guess, hierarchy, not the very top, but you know what I mean? It's the people at the bottom that are going to be the most affected by this, but it's going to affect everyone. It's going to affect people at the top like me too. And it's going to affect even you who have nothing to do with sex work. Your access on the internet to free and fair information, to be able to express yourself, to be able to go on platforms that aren't monopolized by these big major tech companies, your right on the internet is going to be affected by this. Just like the Restrict Act is going to affect your right to privacy online and to getting information online and to have access to be able to exercise your First Amendment rights, basically. And a lot of times when you see a right being taken away from sex workers, it's a matter of time before it gets taken away from you too. So this is why it's important for everybody to be on board with sex workers and any marginalized group that's the easiest to attack, the LGBTQ community. People are saying now adults shouldn't be able to transition. They start with the kids, right? They always start with the kids. Oh my God, you can't, kids, the kids. And we're like, okay, fine. Or with sex work, oh, child pornography, okay, fine. And then it's like, okay, well now consenting adults can't do sex work either because that's prostitution, and prostitution is sex trafficking. Okay, wait. Or now we have people who are even flipping on the issue, right? The other day I heard Ben Shapiro say, he used to be like, yeah, consenting adults should be able to transition if they want. But now he's like, no, there are things society should favor over consent, like truth. So because society values truth, and I think the truth is you can't transition, then it doesn't matter what consenting adults want to do. Again, they will come after everybody. You don't have daddy issues. They just didn't see your intelligence early on. Who's they? If my sister's still watching this, she knows that the only daddy issues we have is that we are obsessed with our father. All we do all day is like send each other pictures of him. We're like, he's so cute. 100%. And the censorship of sex workers online deliberately keeps people misinformed so that they can get away with it. I've seen so many sex workers banned from social media for simply discussing this. Yeah. We're not a group of people that people rush to the defense of. A lot of us, we're underground. We are pushed off so many parts of the internet. There's so many misconceptions about us. Some people, even people who are good faith, in good faith, think that we're all victimized and we don't know better. And they have this paternalistic instinct about us. And where they're like, oh, you don't know better. Let us save you, which is why I love rights, not rescue. We want rights. I don't need to be rescued. The women in here that I can see them commenting seem very bright. The smartest women that I have literally met have been other sex workers. And I was an attorney and I went to a great law school, met brilliant women there too. But we're not abused idiots, guys. Let's see what Angelica said. What the government needs to do is put some laws in place to protect children from their fame-hungry influencer parents. The child trafficking is happening on IG is horrendous, and it's right there in plain sight, which is further proof that the government is after power, not actual solutions. Yeah, you would think if the government was after actual solutions, 5 years later, when they saw that their bill did nothing but push trafficking further underground and increase it, that maybe they would be like, oops, sorry, let's change this. But I haven't, there doesn't seem like they're eager to do that. We do have a little bit of support from the more, I say this very lightly, further left senators. But unless we get enough public outcry over this, I think the Restrict Act is getting a lot of outcry because a lot more people like TikTok than sex workers, or they don't realize that, they don't understand. I didn't even understand. I was like, oh my God, Tumblr banned porn. Fuck you, Tumblr. It's not Tumblr. It's Tumblr has to do what they can do to survive. And why the fuck would they, when OnlyFans wanted to ban content? I was actually on OnlyFans. It was early on in my OnlyFans career when it was early on in my OnlyFans career when that happened. And I was like, why would OnlyFans do this? And people are like, oh, they're, fuck OnlyFans. It's not OnlyFans. It's also banks that are, some of them, I think, it's a mix of, they still have these crazy standards, oh, porn, clutching their pearls. But then also they're like, I don't want to be liable for one transaction that, a single transaction that involves anything that's not consensual or involving minors. So I'm just going to throw out the baby with the bathwater, and nobody can do this now. No porn, no sex, no sex workers. That's easier for companies to do because we don't have enough of an outcry for this. And a lot of people don't realize that this also creeps into everything on the internet. And even if it didn't, right? Yep, that checks out. Same with censoring / criminalizing and LGBTQ individuals. Yeah, I mean, we see what's happening there. The Don't Say Gay bill, which is not the real name, but the bill in Florida where it's overbroad, and I guess you can't, LG teachers that are in same-sex relationships don't even know if they can talk about their spouse without being in trouble. Book banning books with like explicit, like that has sex in it at all. Like any child is like, ooh, you guys know what we should like, let's get freaky in the library. Like they're banning books where there's like a victim in the book of sexual assault. Like they're just going crazy, banning all this drag queen story hour, which a lot of the time is just very innocent. It's just regular people reading to kids. This outcry, and the right is pushing this. The right is pushing this under the guise of child safety, and we don't have enough people on the left, especially when it pertains to this, that are like, wait a minute, no, this isn't happening, and you're fucking crazy. Can't read Harry Potter, but you can read, my moderator says, can't read Harry Potter, but you can read the Bible, and it's all rape / incest and explicit detail. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Like growing up, I traveled a lot. I don't know if my sister's still watching this, but we traveled a lot, and we went like all over Europe. And I didn't grow up really religious at all, but my parents weren't Christian. So we didn't like even learn about Jesus and the Bible. And I just remember like going into like European, like a bunch of churches and cathedrals and everything, and just seeing like this image of like Jesus, like what, like it was like, I was like disturbed. I was like, what the fuck is that? And, then it was explained to me that he was, what happened to him. And I was like, oh, but like the parents that are teaching their children this were also the same parents that like their kids weren't allowed to watch. Like I remember like our neighbors were not allowed to watch Kim Possible because it was too violent, but they were like huge, heavy religious Christians. And I'm like, you guys are hearing about what happens to Jesus in detail and seeing these depictions of it, but you can't watch Kim Possible. I don't get it. Yes. Banks being pressured by MasterCard and Visa, who are being pressured by conservative evangelical groups. Yeah, they are. I think I'm glitching. Okay. They are pushing heavy for these kinds of restrictions. And if we don't fight back against it, they're going to win. They're winning. They're winning, right? When Pornhub was taken off of Instagram for actually no violations, they were celebrating it as we are one step closer to stopping child trafficking. Everything that has to do, like Imgur banning porn, which Imgur is literally used for people like me to post my titties, my 28-year-old titties, okay, not 12, 28-year-old titties on the internet. They were like, that's apparently me not posting my titties on the internet is stopping child abuse. They don't give a fuck about kids. There's no reason kids should be getting shot in schools. Yep. Let the fuck alone. There being wide open pathways for traffickers to take children. Let's discuss how there are many Black women, teens, children missing in fucking DC as a whole, and jack shit is being done. Yeah. Moral of the story is this is by far the least effective way to combat abuse, trafficking, anything. Side note, Jazier. Oh, thank you. My eyebrows. Very grateful that the far-right authoritarian evangelical shadow government is being exposed by docs like The Family and more news. I haven't seen that. Gotta see it. Hazard Stand, you didn't share this recommendation with me. You always do. So yeah, this has been heavy on my mind because of what's been happening recently with Reddit, which is my favorite platform, a platform that a lot of sex workers are one of the only ones we're still able to use. And they've reduced visibility. They took it off the all subreddit, which was, I guess, like the home. I didn't even know about this because I think this happened before I even joined. It was taken off that, which reduced visibility. Now it's not going to be available via third-party apps, we think, unless Reddit changes their mind. And Reddit is trying, like, I genuinely don't think Reddit is the bad guy, and they're going to go public later this year. And I think that's going to be really bad for us too. I think they're going to eventually ban it, and it's going to eventually just be kind of banned across the board unless more people talk about this and unless people are more informed about this. And I think this is an issue that if we do talk about it enough, and if we do let people know that everybody's rights are being affected by this, and even the people who constantly message me, or they think like, well, it could stop child trafficking. So if sex workers are, whatever happens to them, if they're collateral damage, but it ends up stopping trafficking, then maybe it's good. But then if they even know, no, this isn't actually doing that. It's actually making it worse. I think we can get a lot of people on board. Basically, the only people I think we can't get on board are people that just hate porn, hate women, and are psychos. But I think this kind of legislation has on the surface much broader support because people don't know what's actually being done. And I saw when I was researching a little bit before this, a lot of people speak out against it, but it's kind of like all of our voices combined isn't going to have the same traction as like whatever fucking celebrities they bring up. Whoever, Alec Baldwin, I don't even know if he was in it, I don't know, that are like making these sad videos, like, oh, the children. Anytime something is said or proposed in order to protect children, read it. That's what I'm going to say from now on. Anytime a bill or an idea or anything is proposed under the guise of protecting children, let's look at it. Let's go through it with a fine-tooth comb, because I can guarantee you almost more it's going to be overbroad, and it's going to affect adults. It's going to affect a lot of people, unless it's guns. When it's guns, I'm fairly certain that they're not going to do anything to protect children, or any of us for that matter. So that's fun. Imagine how much more sketchy sites / channels will open up once traffickers have to. Oh no, it's already happened. It's happened. The sketchy sites have come back and stayed up, and the legitimate sites that were helping law enforcement, that were facilitating legal online sex work, they're the ones that are shut down. I can tell you this. I work with, and I don't know if Angelica or Star Womb can attest to this. I work with a couple DMCA companies that will scan the internet, and I can also submit, and they will take down copyrighted content. And there are sites that comply, and there are sites that don't comply. And the ones that don't comply, you can escalate. There's just like not much you can do. You can delist it from Google. You can do things to make it less visible, but and those are the sketchy sites, right? Like Reddit, Twitter, obviously OnlyFans, even though it's very hard for it to even happen on OnlyFans, because OnlyFans is like on top of us for that shit. OnlyFans actually has a bot to detect if there's even another person in your video. So if you forget to tag them, we automatically get like a red flag next time we log in, and it's like, you need to tag this, and you have like 24 hours, or else we're gonna take the content away and sometimes shut down your page. So OnlyFans doesn't play with this. But any like legitimate site, is DMCA compliant. That's what we call it. But the sketchy sites that probably have a bunch of child porn, rape, etc., those sites are still up, and they don't listen. They don't care. Like they're like, And again, SESTA-FOSTA isn't actually being used to prosecute those sites, because that's not even happening. This legislation has not been used to actually do any of that. All it's done is shut down. It was Kamala Harris, actually, lovely Kamala, who was really eager to shut down Backpage. Is it Backpage or Backpages? I'm sorry, guys. And was unsuccessful multiple times because of Section 230. And then as soon as this was passed, I keep saying, I don't know if I should say FOSTA, SESTA, or SESTA-FOSTA. I've seen it both ways. She was able to do it right away, because she's like, well, you guys facilitate prostitution. So she didn't actually even get it taken down by pointing to trafficking. She got it taken down by pointing to prostitution, which apparently is now the same thing as trafficking. Kamala is a cop. Yeah, we're not big Backpage. Okay. Yeah, we're not big Kamala fans here, and it seems like in the chat. Yeah, these people don't care. And then I think for a lot of people, people in Congress, they're like just looking to, sorry, moderator. It's, yeah, a lot of people in Congress, they're scared, even if they do know. A lot of them probably didn't read it. We're just like, oh, okay, this is getting a lot of people seem the positive press. Woohoo, let's vote for it. Who were the two moderators? There was two. Oh, Rand Paul, obviously. He's like the big libertarian, so he was against it. And was it Ron Wyden? I think so. That was like, wait a minute, I want more information on this. Can we do a little bit more information as to how, I think he said, how this would actually stop sex trafficking? And they were like, nope. we're not going to do that. And then everyone's like, yep, this sounds like it sounds good. We got the Hollywood people making people cry, sex trafficking, bad. Let's pass it. And here we are 5 years later with devastating consequences, and seems like things are just getting worse. Ron Wyden, yes. Okay. I wish Tulsi Gabbard runs for president again. Are we talking about Tucker? Who, Tucker Carlson? No, I think he would love for porn to be eliminated from the internet. Kamala has been such a disappointing VP when we need her the most. Yeah, she's just the least likable human being, I think. Like yeah. She's just one of those people that when she talks, I don't think a single person is like, I like her. But I don't know. Let me know in the chat if anybody. I hope you're doing well. I found your channel from Reddit page, really sexy pics. Well, hopefully I can keep my Reddit page, guys. Hopefully my Reddit page, which has almost like 1 million followers, and I love the community there. It's a very actually sex positive community. I like hardly ever actually just got my block feature back. And I don't have to it's like 1% of people that I feel like suck on Reddit. And I say that percentage is much higher on places like Instagram and TikTok. It's not higher on OnlyFans. She's sexy though. Who, Kamala? Kamala's never been trustworthy due to her history. She can't even fake. I don't think most of our politicians are trustworthy, but some of them can seem charming. Even okay, Biden's almost dead. But when he talks, you're just okay, grandpa, you want to give him a hug, tell him to lay down, take his meds. But when Kamala talks, you're just you fucking bitch. That's how I feel, at least. I'm gonna make it OF just to follow. You're gonna have it been on OF for 8 months or even read it. Well, if you do it in the next 20 minutes, you can just see some fun. She's gonna pop back out soon now that it's re-election season. Yeah, and I don't think she's gonna help the Democrats at all by popping out again. She for sure gives off snake vibes. Yeah, not snack vibes. Kamala's not a snack. I guess one person thought she was hot. I'm not saying I have nothing against the woman's looks. I have everything against everything else about her. Biden got Riz lessons from Obama, so he's semi-likable. That's what my moderator said. Yeah, I think I don't think anyone's I don't know if there are any Biden people, but if I'm hearing him talk again, I just feel a mix of feeling bad, feeling can you just stop? And then I have a soft spot for old, just the elderly and senior citizens that are on borderline senile. I see them as a vulnerable community, and I want to help them. I see Biden and I want to help him. When I see Kamala, I'm just yeah, you're a fucking snake. Watch Tulsi seems like the most caring and simian that will try and make some change. I'm not a huge Tulsi person, to be honest. What do I say if I sign up in the next 20 minutes? I'll see what if Rosemary spoke. Oh, I go live on there, and it's obviously a sexual live. A lot of times, well, every time I've gotten naked and had some fun on camera. You do know he's suffering with dementia. What I did in my legal practice before I quit to show my titties on the internet full time was I worked with the elderly in a lot of the things that I did. And I was starting to be able to identify early onset dementia, early signs of Alzheimer's, etc. And even my boss at the time, we can definitely see some of that with Biden. I think it's crazy that he wants to run again. So you going live next on OF? Yeah, in about 20 minutes. Legal practice to full-time titties. That's a fire shift. Yeah, it's been really fun, but that doesn't mean that I don't still want to use my platform and my degree to help people. And one of the things I really want to do is be able to start a law practice eventually down the line that will help models and online creators and sex workers in particular, because I think it'll be so impactful to just be like, hey, I've been there, I'm one of you. Because so many girls, even for their taxes, they're like embarrassed. I wasn't, but a lot of girls are. So I know a friend that Lana, she is a CP, she's the accountant or I don't know. She can help a lot of girls with their taxes. I can maybe help girls with their legal issues. We just need to fucking organize. We need to unionize. We need to lobby, get involved with, there's a great girl on Twitter to follow, Ashley Ladke. I don't know how to, it's Lake. I think there's a T in it, Latke. And she's on top of this. And I even messaged her. I was like, what do you think is going to happen with Reddit? Because she's been on top of this. She's like she met with Patreon CEO when they got rid of sexual explicit content. He was like crying in the meeting apparently, but like, again, their hands are tied a lot of the time. You know, I think like people like Zuckerberg, as Ashley says it, are just evil billionaires, but not all of, you know, Tumblr, Reddit, you know, they're struggling. Like they wanted to keep it on there, even if it was just for selfish reasons of like, this does really well. And this, you know, a lot of, they want to keep you on their platforms as much as possible. So if a quarter of your platform is porn, you know, he's not somebody that's just like, oh, read my Bible this morning and realized this is, oh, I'm going to get rid. No, that's not what's happening. It's much bigger than that. And that's why we need to talk about it. Show your feet. Read the room. This isn't that straight. I know. Is her feet on oath? To some extent, yes. If you want to see some feet, that's where you should go. But your rights to see people's feet are being affected by what I'm talking about here. So if you want to keep seeing people's feet, which I think you should have the right to do, just like everyone should have the right to show you their feet, as long as they're consenting adults, we need to come together. Everyone should get involved with a local pro-sex work advocacy group in your area. Ashley did a great job of explaining that that's where it starts. Lobby your politicians, get involved, advocate. Ladies on here, we need to find ways that we can connect with each other, that we can spread the word. These forums are really great. I'm glad you guys are checking them out. We need to get more active on there, more vocal on there. These girls are great. And I think if we just come together and we spread our message, you know, people don't want to see us go. Even people who just want to see our titties, they're going to be mad. There's a lot of people that are going to be very angry if my titties are no longer on Reddit. And again, this is much bigger than me. This is about the rights of everyone, about government infringing on our rights, people's lives, marginalized communities being attacked. And this goes for everything, not just SESTA and FOSTA, not SESTA-FOSTA, but a lot of the anti-LGBTQ legislation. We know what happened with Roe v. Wade. That's like the Supreme Court thing is a little bit, it's like, if you guys want me to do more like legal focused, like really go through like the issues, like the way I would in law school, I can. I just don't know if that's going to be like something a lot of people can, I don't even want to understand. But I think being able to, and again, especially on issues where people are on our side, like abortion, like even decriminalizing sex work and free speech in the internet, we should not be losing. If they have all the money and the power, but we have the numbers. And if we just organize and we use those numbers, we can actually be very powerful. It's just really hard. And I'm actually glad this all happened. I was like I was just reading this like so disheartened. Was it the day Tumblr announced it, like 2 days ago or the day after? I was like, fuck. And then I was like, you know what? I'm glad this happened because this is pushing me to do this faster. It's pushing me to talk about this more. It's pushing me, like, I'm going to do a really like comprehensive YouTube video on it that I'm going to like do a lot of research for. And I want to push that out on all of those forums. And again, ladies, if you guys have other groups or anything you're involved with where you guys can talk about this stuff and we can get a lot of us on board, get a lot of people to join. And men, this is not just for us. You guys should join groups in your area too. You guys should be vocal about this too. You guys should go on the like bunch of places online that are like stop SESTA whatever, and you can literally, they have the like little thing that you can just write and send out to your local leaders and your state and be like, hey, I don't like this, and pay attention to who votes for stuff like this and who doesn't. That's something that we should all pay attention to coming forward. So a bunch of, people in Congress aren't just like, oh, okay, anti-sex trafficking. Seems like my base will like that. I'm up for re-election. Let me do it. You need enough people to be like, wait a second. No, if you do this, you're harming your chances of re-election. That's what we need. This is one of the most informative streets. Thank you. I'd love to see open a practice that can help give legal protection to sex workers and online creators. You definitely seem more capable to do it. And that hands-on community support is life-saving. Yeah, and I think I'm in a good position to do it because I get it. And I don't want to charge like $25,000 to file these suits. And it's not just me. I have like my law school friends are like very, very cool. These are people who, some of them were like at the top of our class, which means they could have done anything, and they chose to take lower paid jobs and positions in order to be like on the grounds advocates for people who otherwise have no means to be able to protect themselves in our justice system. We just handed out kits to the homeless last Saturday. We plan on doing that every month. Just badass group of people, and they don't know much about this. So when I tell them about some of the issues that women in this industry face, they're angry. And they're literally like, if someone messages you and a girl messages you about a contract she signed with an agency, send it to us if you don't have time. Like, they're like, if I am ever able to open up this practice and hire them, they're ready to go, and they are smart, and they're active, and they want to help too. So again, it's about this is us. What is it? Oh my God, why am I not remembering the words? What is it? Roots? What's the word? Like when it's like from the ground. You guys know what I'm talking about. Grassroots, yes. Grassroots movement that we have to start and become powerful enough, because again, we have the numbers, and we just gotta change enough minds so that our laws and lawmakers are going to be like, this is a big voting block. Because right now this is able to go under the radar because, again, the voting block is largely in support of this, on the right for sure, and even on the left, because they're just like, oh, sex trafficking. Agree, Jazz. Would you ever consider donating a portion of your OF income to these organizations? Yes, I already have. I don't like to talk about that online much because, again, I'm not somebody that like does things so I can tell you guys, but I am. And I do want to get more involved in sharing places that, like, on my Instagram and etc. I want to get more involved in talking about this, like, as much as I can. And I'm happy this happened using my Twitter. You guys should follow me on Twitter right now. All I literally post on Twitter is every Monday that I'm going to be live here. But I want to start talking about it. And I want to start being able to share ways that we can all help, and we can all, again, you don't have to donate anything. You can just donate your time and your voice to this. This may come off as rude, but damn, I'm going to say it. I'm happy to find someone who does Reddit porn who isn't a complete moron. I know it sounds bad, but I found plenty of adult models that make me shake my head. Just so you know, adult models have found plenty of you guys that make us shake our head too. So again, you can't judge people because they post their bodies on the internet, just like we can't judge people who comment on the internet, because there's a lot of stupid commenters on the internet too. In fact, you guys have whole communities dedicated to being idiots, incels, red pill this, red pill that. The anti-porn and the no-fap communities on Reddit seem to be the only two communities that were very for Reddit taking not safe for work content off the API. Again, these are people that personally have problems. It's like, I have an issue with fast food, therefore McDonald's should be banned. These are these kind of people. Oh, I had a really funny comment, guys. Me and my sister were dying about this because somebody was like, on one of these, like, is it that bad if like not safe for work content in general is just like gone? And you guys listen to this. I couldn't stop laughing. Me and my sister are still making jokes about this. And someone's like, well, yeah, that would be bad because human beings should be able to make their decision. And if consenting adults want to show off their bodies to other consenting adults, then that's fine. And this person, so what's the harm in that? This person goes, there's plenty of harm. The internet never goes away. Sure, at 25, you keep viewing articles and TikTok videos of women making $10,000 a month selling nudes. You do it yourself and make the equivalent of $15 an hour. Nothing close to what the ads say. You shut the page down and get a real job. At 35, you meet a good man and plan to get married. A former fan of yours sees your engagement pictures on Twitter and retweets your news. Your fiance knew about your past, but is being inundated with intimate pictures from strangers who saw you naked is too much for them. Or you get married, have kids, and the day a classmate shows nudes of you to your kid and they get bullied. Unless you want to make porn star your lifelong career, there's plenty of harm to posting not safe for work content for others to see. So basically, this argument is that we shouldn't be able to express ourselves online, and porn shouldn't be accessible online, so that our hypothetical fiancés at 35 are not inundated with images of this and are not able to handle it. Which I guess worst case scenario means we don't get married, and somehow like because that you think that could happen, then like we shouldn't. Like these comments are fucking psychotic to me. Luckily, not the majority of people. Are you a practicing lawyer? My license is active. Now, how much legal work do I do a week? Like 0 to 1 hours. But I am, I actually have to get on my CLEs in order to keep my license active. I think they're due in July. So I got to go to some continued legal education courses. I pay my bar fees, but I don't do a lot of practicing right now. I just don't have time. I run an OnlyFans page. I'm trying to expand. I do this. I'm trying to do more YouTube, short form content like this. You guys, being a content creator is a lot of work. And that's something a lot of people don't know. You have to remember that this is a really great comment, the Star Womb, a response. You have to remember that everything you see from adult models is just their brand and a performance. We all have our own personal and private lives outside of work. Judging someone's intelligence based off their online persona is usually always going to be inaccurate, especially I think for the industry we're in. So like, yeah, the Reddit like captions we use have to be fucking stupid and corny. Like, what do you think? I can post a picture of my titties and like put up like a Socrates quote? No, I have to be like, how fun would it be to motorboat these, daddy? Like, that's just the vibe. Like, that's what the industry is like. That doesn't mean that like that's how we are in person, and that's like how we are 24/7. So again, I think this is just a preconceived bias that you have because of the narrative that you're given in society, where it's like, oh, if somebody's online showing their boobs, then they're dumb, and their caption that they did like is just reflective of their personality. Like, let's be a little bit deeper thinkers than that. And I even have people who really well-meaning people who watch this and then go on my OnlyFans live, or they like watch my pornographic content and they're like, this is weird because now I know you're smart. And like, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but like, you know, it makes me like, it's just weird to see you in this way. And then I talk to them and they think about it. They're like, yeah, it shouldn't be, shouldn't be weird. Like, you know, don't you guys all, like, even in real life, like I've said this before, like if you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, you think of them probably as smart, as funny, and as fucking sexy and hot. And sometimes you just want to fuck the shit out of them. I could be that person for you guys online too. But for some reason online, it's like, oh no, porn stars are dumb or stupid, or online content creators are dumb and stupid. Star Womb, I already have Angelica on my OF. For you, I don't know if you can find, like, if you find my Instagram, you DM me. I just want to get connected with as many of you guys as possible. And you seem really cool, and we can share resources. And yeah, JasmineJafar.me has all my links. Share resources. And my main Instagram was banned. I don't think it's coming back, but I have like 2 backups now that I'm trying to build up. So yeah, if you guys want to link up so we could fight this together. Please put a Socrates quote and discuss the economy of man while you post titties. I would love to. I just don't think that's the vibe on Reddit, but it's the vibe on here. That's why I show this part of my personality here. I don't show this part of my personality on Reddit necessarily. I don't show this part of my personality if you watch a sex tape of mine where I'm being like fucked, like, and I'm like, wait a minute, I want to let everybody know that I'm also smart. It's like not the context for that. So you got to be mindful of that. the smartest and most compassionate people I've met online. Yeah, I second this. And that was really strange to me because, again, I came from one of the most respected professions that there are, which is being a lawyer. I mean, respected, like a lot of people think we're like, you know, crooked, and which is true sometimes, money hungry, unethical people. But in general, like respected in the sense that people think we're smart and intelligent. And I will tell you that, again, not everybody. There are some really great, like, again, some of my law school friends, best people I know. But like in general, like if you go ask somebody for help in law school, there's like probably like a 50% chance they're not going to help you because that's going to affect them and there's competition and you're ranked. In online sex work world, it's like as soon as a girl finds a way to like maybe get out of a ban or finds a new method or wants to warn somebody about something that they've encountered, we are the first people to be like, this is everything I know. How can I help? I want to help everybody that I can, because it's like us against the world. And some of these girls are one hustlers, like hustlers. I have never been a hustler in my life. I've actually been pretty lazy most of my life. Like I said before, I'm really book smart. So school was really easy for me, but I never was somebody who like hustled. Like it was like, okay, I got to take this exam at the end of the semester. Okay, I have one job. I have a 4-hour exam. Just got to pass that. This is not like that. This is like every day something's changing. Every day it's like playing. I was looking at a forum about this on, I think, Creators Advice. This was like, we just are playing like musical chairs with these platforms. And every day it's like anytime the rug can get swept out from under you. And these girls fall down and they get back up every single time. And they don't let it affect their empathy, their kindness, and their solidarity with other sex workers. Even though we're in stark competition, like on the internet in general, like there is all the beautiful women in the world, you know, there's plenty of them online in this industry. And I can't, you know, obviously not 100%, but for the most part, we love to see each other grow. We don't have a lot of drama amongst ourselves, like I see in so many other communities. Like I used to watch like the beauty community on YouTube, and it's like, oh, drama this, drama that. It's like, we don't even have time for that. We're just trying to survive. And we know we are stronger in numbers. And if we can just have a way to organize our numbers, then I don't think there's anything we can't do. And we can change this. Reed, I'll check you out on IG. Yeah, just DM me and maybe we could start a community, even a group chat, get Angelica on it and see what we can do, how much we can use our voices for this. Because that's the only way, is if we can get people on board. What got you into sex work? I liked it. I tried it. Worked out. Yeah, Hazard Stint is such a great ally of ours. So is King of the Hunt. So is I know there's other people that are usually in this chat that aren't right now. And that's another thing, is it's not just us against the world, because we have great, amazing, amazing, amazing fans and supporters that are in this fight with us. Like I sent Hazard Stint a website for like a sex work ally group, and he immediately went on it, checked out all their resources before I did. Like there are people in this fight with us. We are not alone. We just need to be able to rally them. They care about this too. Treacherously, we're here. Yeah, Treacherously is amazing. We're lucky. We have okay, so Star Womb for everybody in here. She has not safe for work content too. She has a Twitch page. You guys should click on it. And she can't directly link to here. Yeah, we can't directly link to anything. So we're sorry. And a lot of people sometimes get mad, like, why can't you put the link? Like, why do you make it so hard for us to find? Do you think we want that? Like, do you think we want to add hardship for you to find our page, which is what we do for a living, in order to support ourselves? No, we are literally hanging on by a thread online right now, guys. And I am one of the luckiest ones, right? I'm a top OnlyFans creator. And if I'm feeling like this, I can imagine what people who are struggling even to pay their bills with their sex work income are feeling. Like they're like, oh my God. And even I feel that, and I make enough and I've made enough that I'll be able to survive if, you know, with little things going wrong, but there are people who can't. Even OnlyFans, I remember they paused my payments for a second because one of my release forms wasn't was failed because I put the ID, I sent 2 pictures of the ID from the front and I need one of the back, and they paused it for like a week. And I was like, what if I needed this money to pay my rent? And they actually answered me fairly quickly because I was a top creator, which is so backwards because it's always the people that need your help the most are the least likely to get it. And the people that need your quick response the least are the people that are going to get it faster because I'm making you more money. So hate that. Yeah, a lot of people do online content as supplemental income. Even just making a couple $100 a month can be what helps put food on the table. Yeah. And we are affected by all of this. And again, this isn't just our fight because this affects every single person. All right, but it is 8:01. I got to get on that live. If you want to join, go to jasminejafar.me. It was so nice to meet everybody, especially Star Room. I love seeing other women on here. I don't have a lot of women, being a sex worker and having a sexy Instagram. I think my analytics are 97% male and 3% female. But whenever I get a female in here, so happy. So nice to meet you guys. If you guys want to go have some other kind of fun with me, now that we're all stressed and riled up, let's harness that into sexual energy and release it, if you catch my drift. JasmineJafar.me. Check me out there, and I will see you guys next week. I think next week we're going to talk about kinks and where kinks come from. Which I don't know. We're going to research it. And I don't think anybody really knows, but kind of talk about what we can on here. Thanks for the chat. It always helps inspire a sense of hope in me connecting with other sex workers and supporters. Yeah, huge. It's so huge. I have Lana, the one that's been on here before. Her being in my life has and we become so close. We're best friends in a way that some of my friends that I've known for years aren't, because it's we see each other in such a vulnerable light, and we're in this unique experience together that nobody understands unless you're in it too. So thank you to all our supporters. Thank you to anyone that is pro sex work and pro women, anyone who isn't just a fucking red-pilled asshole that clearly gets no pussy. There are plenty of men that get no pussy. They're still very, very great, decent men. And then there are people that don't get pussy that turn into raging lunatics. So besides them, thank you to everyone. And if you want to go have fun, go join me there. I'm late and I know people are waiting. Bye.